What if I told you the perfect fantasy map generator already exists? And it's been hiding under our noses this entire time. Well, if you want to solve all of your world building problems, kickstart your creativity, and discover the secret to immortality, keep on watching. That's what real YouTubers do, right? So I think we're all familiar with Whatabu's medieval city generator. Is it Whatabao? It's the premier city generator for fantasy RPG campaigns. And it's been around since as long as I started GMing in 2019. But did you know that Whatabu, aka Oleg Dolya, also makes other generators? I've been using his dungeon and village generators ever since I discovered them a couple of years ago. And he also has a neighborhood and mansion generator, but I don't think those are really useful. However, he also has a magnum opus, a random generator that puts the rest of them to shame. One generator to rule them all. And it turns out it's been out since like 2020 and I'm just now finding out about it. But what is that magnum opus you're screaming at your monitor? Perilous Shores. Now, what makes Perilous Shores the one GM tool to rule them all? Well, if you're an avid viewer of mine, you might have noticed that the name sounds kind of familiar. And that's because Oleg was inspired by the Perilous Wilds Dungeon World supplement. This inspiration manifests itself in the form of region parameters, which is just Oleg's version of region tags from Perilous Wilds. At the time of making this video, there are 20 parameters you can use for a map. First, you can determine what kind of region you want. So there's coast, islands, there's lakes, peninsulas, which is my personal favorite, and there's just boring old land. You can determine the alignment of a region, and this uses old school alignment. So good, evil, neutral, chaos, law. And they are all separate from each other. There is no lawful good, there is just law or good. Then you can have a bunch of other miscellaneous parameters like whether or not it's safe or dangerous, or whether or not it's lush or barren. Of course, Whatabu's Dungeon World inspiration and the map customization options aren't the only reason this slaps. What really sets it apart and makes me go, golly gee willikers, is its integration with every other generator Whatabu has made. If you see a skull on your Perilous Shores map, you can right click that bad boy, click open in 1PDG, and it will create a map for you in Whatabu's one-page generator. Villages are integrated with his village generator, and cities are, holy shit, you guessed it, integrated with his medieval city generator. Additionally, every single name on the map is customizable, and you can also adjust whether or not a steading is a village, a town, or a city. Now, you can't add new elements to the map, and it doesn't seem like Oleg is ever going to implement that feature, but that doesn't really bother me. One feature that I discovered while writing the script to this video is toponymy, which lets you generate a new language based on common, Elvish, exotic, or alien, and then apply those names to literally everything on the map. Now, I probably won't ever use this because I like my players to be able to pronounce my landmarks, and that's something that I learned the hard way. But if you're really into language like J.R.R. Tolkien, then it is something to check out. One more small feature is that if you click a settlement on a map, it'll generate a little random blurb about that settlement, which I think is kind of neat. Now, I know I said that Perilous Shores is the perfect fantasy map generator, but I was of course lying to hook you into this. Obviously, it's not perfect. There are two main drawbacks, one of which chaps my ass a little bit more than the other. The first drawback is that you can't save or load maps in the browser. You can of course save a PNG or an SVG of your map, but if you do that, then you lose the interactivity. Obviously, it's an image file. So if you wanted to keep everything on your map, like all of the dungeon maps, the village maps, the city maps, you would have to save everything and then put it into a file on your computer. I would have liked to see a little bit of browser integration, sort of like Asgar's fantasy map generator. But the con that really chaps my ass is that you can't zoom in. Now, I know that sounds dumb, but if I want to generate a huge map, I have to go full screen to see everything, and then even then, all of the landmarks and blurbs are super tiny. I have to get close to my monitor and squint, and I look old, and I don't like feeling like that. Apparently, this is a technical issue that has been plaguing Mr. Dolya for ages, and there's no immediate fix in sight. It's not perfect, but then you remember that it's a free tool, it's powerful as shit, and there's literally no licensing. Like, you are free to take any map that you make in Perilous Shores, and you can sell it for commercial purposes. I mean, you probably shouldn't without crediting him, or at least subscribing to his Patreon, but I mean, you can do it if you want to be a shithead. Anyway, that's Perilous Shores. It's just a small little tool that I think is really cool, and I'm using it to develop a campaign setting that has been bouncing around in my noggin for like a year now. But if you're into other sorts of GM tools to help your prep, then I highly recommend you click right here. I have a video that talks all about it. It's a little old, so, you know, bear with me, and you might see something that looks a little familiar. But anyways, thank you so much for watching.